Good evening, class. I wanted to take some time and do a video here on something we would have discussed in class today had we been able to be in class. One of the things on page 266 in the book of the second edition, Dr. Wiles talks about the simple process of grasping a ball. Now, that sounds pretty simple and certainly not something worthy of a video. There are a lot of things we take for granted. Sometimes we take things for granted. We need to be more thankful. I would say in this case, we take for granted something that maybe would make us better worshipers, to realize the truth of when the psalmist says we're fearfully and wonderfully made. Because if you think about the simple task of grasping a ball, there's a lot of processes that go into that. So I actually have an egg tonight. This isn't any egg. This is a marble granite egg of some sort. And so I want to pick that up. And so I'm sitting here in this posture, and I want to pick up this egg. And in doing so, there's lots of different processes that have to happen. So what's the first thing that I need to do? Okay, well, if I look at this egg, I see it's probably 10 inches away from my hand and elevated just a few inches above my hand. So probably the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have to pick my arm off the table so that I can move it toward the egg. Now, in doing that, I'm actually leaning on my right arm, and that's the arm I want to use to pick up the egg. So my activity of picking up the egg is actually going to start in my back, and my muscles on the left side of my back, and I wish I could name all the different muscle groups. I can't. But they're going to have to contract a little bit, so I rock off this arm. Okay, so I've done that now. And that probably involved, thousands of nerves and millions of muscle cells. All right, but thankfully, I'm so intelligent, I was able to continue to talk while I did that. That's pretty amazing, huh? All right, so the next thing I need to do is lift my arm. So I'm just going to pick up my arm here. Okay, so now my arm is high enough that I believe I can go over top of that egg to pick it up. Now, in picking up my arm, I used a certain muscle group. Now, I believe mainly the muscle group I used was my bicep. All right in here, I picked my arm up with that bicep. Now I need to rotate my arm or extend my arm over top of the egg. Now, there's two different things that are going to happen, two different muscle groups, we'll say. The first is I'm going to relax my bicep muscle, but I'm rotating my shoulder forward, okay? So now that rotation is actually a very complex combination of muscle groups contracting and relaxing around the rotator cuff of my muscle. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to have the muscles contract to go up around behind my neck and actually down my back. But now my hand's way up here. Oh, I forgot. I should have relaxed my bicep so that hand didn't use all that extra energy to go up like that. So I'm actually combining both of those till I get over the egg. So now I need to lower my hand, but I got a problem. My elbow's straightened all that it can do. I mean, I can swing that way, I guess, a little bit more, but I can't flex it. So I'm going to actually have to flex my whole arm here, which now is using muscles from somewhat of my tricep. They're going to pull to lower my hand. I missed the egg. Okay. To pick up, to put my hand over the egg. Now, my hand now comes down over the egg, and processes that we can't even talk about are the fact that I knew how wide my fingers need to be without really even looking at the egg. But I've come down now and I've touched the egg, okay? Now, it's very smooth. So now my skin is involved in this whole process. I realize, if this was sandpaper on the outside of this thing, I wouldn't have to grab so hard. But This is smooth, so I'm gonna be able to clamp down pretty good. And then when I start the process of picking up, I'm going to discover something. This is a heavy egg. This is not your typical, I almost said rooster egg, your chicken egg, your hen egg. This is from a very particular bird because this is made out of marble. So I'm going to start picking up, but immediately my skin is going to sense slippage. If this egg was a regular egg, I would be picking it up with a lot less force gripping the egg. So my skin's going to now be involved to say, hey, you need to grab this thing a little tighter. It's amazing that all those processes can go on while I'm talking. I must be incredibly intelligent, huh? Obviously, I'm jesting. This is because God has fearfully and wonderfully made us, and we're able to do all these processes while doing 1,000 other things. And imagine the incredibly more complex tasks that we're involved in every day. So anyway, I'm going to pick up now. What muscle group am I going to use? It looks like I'm going to use, really, I'm going to be actually bending my elbow a little bit. So a little bit of my bicep here. I'm going to pull it toward me to pick it up. And I don't know what I'm going to do with this egg now that it's here, so I guess I'll set it back down. But anyway, just a simple little video to remind you that even the simplest of tasks. We talked earlier in the chapter about there's no such thing as simple life. All life's complex. There's really no such thing as a simple activity because all activities are very complex. Thanks so much.